And we're back, Sports Next Door, to talk about another sport reaching crescendo and another game reaching crescendo last night. I talked about the Phoenix Suns having an excellent crowd and a ton of energy. And I saw that with the Colorado Avalanche last night in Denver against the Vegas Golden Knights, a pivotal game 5. And it was a back and forth first period. Brandon Saad scores an absolute muffin at the end of that period. That Fleury, I think he knew the clock was running out. So he's just trying to do a casual snag. And that way there's no rebound to end the period, and just missed it. And it goes in. And it was an unbelievable goal, inexcusable. And then the second period, oh my gosh, it was an avalanche. Terrible dad joke there, but they were all over the place. McKinnon, Makar, Rantanen, Comfer, Saad, they were just buzzing everywhere, all the control, and the crowd was going banana lands. It was absolutely awesome to watch. They finally get a goal. I think it was Jonas Donskoy. And I thought Colorado had it in the bag. I went to bed. I woke up the next morning, and Mark Stone was on the first thing I saw on my app. It was a great breakaway-ish type shot goal from him, and Vegas hanging in there. They're a team that has now seen, it's so ridiculous to say, but they have seen as much like playoff action as the Leafs have seen in the last 30 years, and they've been around for like 4 seasons. And they're a team built on, it's almost like you take the Habs team and you press the upgrade button. That's the Vegas Golden Knights. Like, it's a team built on system, not a lot of like your A++ talent. Obviously they've got great talent with Pacioretty, Stone, Fleury, the defensive core, of course, but not a lot of names that are going to be plastered on the front page of the NHL's promo package. And they just put in the dirty work. They continue to fight. They continue to believe in themselves. And Colorado had made a great adjustment where they had the defense joining the rush almost every time they were exiting the zone, which led to a lot of chances for them. But there were 3 instances where they did it. And in those 3 instances, those were the only 3 instances Vegas really needed. And they scored on those 3 times. Obviously, there were a bunch more that could have been goals the other way, could have been goals for Colorado. But if you take risks like that, it's going to happen where you turn the puck over in the neutral zone. And that's how Vegas scored all 3 of their goals. And a huge, huge win for them to break the home winning streak. And now they have an opportunity to close it out at T-Mobile Arena in Game 6.
Yeah, live by the odd man rush, die by the odd man rush for Colorado. And yeah, you respect it. It is a huge asset of theirs, especially Makar. Like, some of the highlights of him last night were absurd, the skating and stick work he did. But there were also highlights of Shea Theodore like stripping him very effectively on those plays. This Obviously, Colorado is a ridiculously talented team and they are going to score goals on you. But Vegas has done a pretty effective job of shutting down the top dogs of Colorado and making the supporting members like step up and throw their weight around, while Vegas's top 2 lines have been all over. The Marchessault, Tuck, Carlson line has been absolute money this series. They'd won 2 goals last night. I think Tuck or Marchessault is at 4 now. And then Mark Stone stepping up big when it matters in overtime. Vegas it's crazy in how just one thing at a time, you just focus on the next period, the next goal. And from the Avs being up 2-0 and it seeming like, how is Vegas going to get in this series, to Vegas completely in the driver's seat now, as you said, going home with a chance to finish it off. And we talked a fair amount when we're talking about Colorado. I've said I don't know if this team is ready, if they've been adversity shock tested, and I still maintain that. I was not I watched the third period. I didn't catch the overtime, but I wasn't surprised at all. It's been very reminiscent of their series against the Stars, where they have leads, they lose the leads, and then the momentum is just all the other team. And they, there seems to be a bit of a shock to their confidence system or something. Whereas once they blow this lead, they're kind of out of the game. And that's twice in this series now that Colorado's managed to come back and take it in two very pivotal moments. I mean, if they hadn't done that in game three, the series probably would have been over. Doing it in game five puts them in the driver's seat. And I know in your notes you've got Carolina as the next Leafs, but I want to steal that and point the finger at the Avs, because here's this super talented team that's, I don't want to write them off. And even the Stars series, after going down 3-1, they managed to push it to 7. So they're still very much in this series. You can't count out Nathan McKinnon and Rantanen to figure something out. But if not, then I think I point the finger at Colorado as the team with the second most bad juju in the league.
It's definitely true, but the difference between the Leafs and Colorado is Nathan McKinnon is probably on the best value contract in all of sports, while the Leafs have spent big on their top four guys. That's a big difference there. It's interesting that you mentioned that too. Is we've talked about like the high end skill forwards and also the stats that Carey Price is the first double digit player to ever make it to the third round in this like new salary cap era, which is pretty crazy. But it does kind of show, I'm starting to see a pattern here where the teams that have had a lot of success in recent years in the playoffs have that kind of number one center who is a great two-way presence. Of course, with Vegas, I'm talking about Mark Stone. And then last year, I guess you could call Kucherov and Sagan more of offensive minded, but then I'm thinking Boston, Patrice Bergeron, St. Louis, Ryan O'Reilly, Washington, Nicholas Backstrom, right? Those are number one guys who aren't necessarily like prolific goal scorers. Obviously, Kucherov and Sagan are, but they get the job done on both ends and they contribute positively on offense. And then they absolutely can shut down the opponent's top line on defense. And if you're looking to build out a team, you might want to have your top guys focus a little bit more on that defensive end. And that way you feel good about throwing them out there against any matchup. And that's what Vegas, like they feel good about that right now because they know they can throw Pacioretty and Stone and they can go and shut down the top guys on Colorado's other line, but also can bring a little bit of offense themselves.
Yeah, I'm a little mind blown by that double digit salary cap stat you just hit. That's crazy. Yeah, this series still feels far from over. I'm hoping for a great counterpunch from Colorado and a fantastic game 7, but we will see.